Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Raymore City Council work session for Monday, December 1st, 2025. We just have the one item on the agenda this evening, something that has, over the last several months, beginning to grow in concern. And so I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Fearborn to talk about electric scooters, bicycles, and golf carts.
And I'm just going to immediately turn it over to the chief. Just kidding, just kidding. Not going to do that to you. But I did want to see the look of panic on your face. Three for here, sir. Oh, I'm getting to you. Yeah. Here you go, sir. So, want to come back and revisit with the council this issue of the e-vehicles, as I'm just going to kind of call them. And as we've done our research from the first presentation, we have seen a spiked increase. I don't want to over-exaggerate that, but we have seen a spiked increase in the number of complaints that we receive on golf carts and on what I'm going to call e-vehicles. And as I described to you all in the first time we handed this sheet out, or we talked about this sheet, the ones that we were talking about here are the ones that are being sold to people without valid driver's license or given to them at Christmas. And we kind of delineate with pictures on the back pages of this, the difference in them. We're talking about everything that is over 50 cc's, which is pretty much what everybody is buying now, whether it's a scooter or it's one of the mono boards with the big wheels in the center, look like a skateboard with a wheel, or the little bikes. And the delineation between these, the ones we're talking about, are the ones that are not what you see at the bottom of the page of pictures, which are electric bicycles. Electric bicycles have pedals and they're electric assisted. What we're talking about here is pure e-vehicles. That's the only way that they're powered. Short form of it is on the third page, which is a direct printout from a Missouri Highway Patrol. What we have found out is, simple form is, if you do not have a valid Missouri driver's license, you cannot drive these e-vehicles on the streets, any streets in Missouri. That is going to be kind of a baseline and what we're looking for from the council tonight. So e-vehicles can't be driven on the streets by statute. We're going to talk about a little bit of enforcement that's going to be associated with that as we go into the spring. They also, by policy, can't be driven on our park trails, and that's been in place for a long time. So the policy we are looking for from the council tonight is, we have a lot of under 16 drivers out there that have gotten these over the years, and they're driving them. We're receiving more complaints about them. We will be stepping up enforcement beginning in the spring after we put something out in the review talking about this, and we'll get to golf carts here in a minute. What is the council's feeling on allowing these on roadside trails and sidewalks? Because if they're not allowed on roadside trails and sidewalks, then they're not allowed in Raymore at all. And so I just wanted to kind of open that up for council discussion. I have Mr. Mustine and the chief here to answer any questions relative to kind of where they're at and what they're seeing.
I feel like as far as parks and trails like that, a lot of other municipalities and counties and whatever else, it's all about erosion of our trail. And so it's more important to have people not be on the dirt trails as opposed to paved trails. There are some people that only can get to work, though, on the sidewalk on 58 on their e-scooter. So I don't think that would be good to disallow.
Are we talking like the ones that are green? That would be the one that we would not allow on city park trails and all that?
Both the green and the bike next to it, because the bike next to it does not have pedals. It's a kickstand electric bike. Both of these are currently banned by statute on any streets.
Because I know one of the concerts I went to, there were several kids that were riding those green ones back and forth on that trail between the crowd in the front and the crowd in the back. And my fear was, 'cause I was sitting right on the back of the front, was someone gets up and doesn't pay attention, they get sideswiped. And concern of mine that night that, you know, it was getting dusk and dark and they were whipping back and forth. So I do think there's some validity of what we say here, and I mean, from the safety standpoint of it. And they are quiet, so there's not a whole lot of I mean, I know the scooters relatively aren't that loud, that you don't have a lot of warning if you're not paying attention. Someone's on a phone and they walk the wrong way, so.
Yeah, and actually, those are prohibited now, right? We've
That's
just-
correct.
We've just chosen not to be aggressive in our enforcement,
The,
from what I understand.
the upshoot is 2 of the 3 areas that we have where these things could be driven, with the exception of driveways, they're prohibited, either by park board policy on the park trails, which does not include, again, roadside trails. And so kind of the direction we're looking for here tonight is, and I would add, electric bicycles are allowed on the streets if you have a valid driver's license. And what you see most of, if they're allowed, if all of this were to be allowed on the sidewalks, what you see is the ordinances and the policies that are associated with that all indicate that they have to yield to pedestrian traffic in those areas. Again, kind of looking for, does the council want to compromise? Because there are a lot of families out there that have these, kind of doing an informal poll, which included my own grandchildren, by the way. When they get these, they're about 1 season of use, and then they kind of grow out of them.
Mr. Mills, do you have something?
Where would like segways or these actual motorized skateboards, would they fall under this too?
They would, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Barber?
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt they're dangerous, but if we do decide to let them on the sidewalks, could we have a policy in place that they would have to have a helmet, wear a helmet, if they're under a certain age?
Absolutely.
Okay. In fact, I see more kids without helmets than with helmets, and that bothers me really more than anything, because they are going 20 miles an hour, 25 miles an hour on them. So wouldn't take much to get injured.
Mr. Mills?
Do HOAs, do they have the ability to supersede or anything like if HOA, if we said yes, they could be on the sidewalk, does the HOA have the ability to say no, they can't be on our sidewalks in our subdivision or?
No,
anything
sir,
like
it's a
that?
transportation method.
Okay.
I think we probably,
I suspect this is gonna be an evolving situation. I don't think we're gonna fix anything with one adjustment to our ordinances. Because something's gonna happen, and it's gonna cause us to have to react to that action. Chief, did you have something?
I was just gonna talk about the helmets a little bit. I'm not even for sure that we would be able to mandate that they wear that equipment. I mean, we can't, the state, you know, on the roadway, we can't mandate that they wear helmets. So I'm not for sure. We'd have to look at the statutes and do a little research.
I think Mr. Zur might have something he moved
Okay.
in. Mr. Zur is banned from being at the table tonight. He has a little bit of illness.
Just to follow up with regard to the Mills inquiry on the HOA, the answer would be like in Dutchman Acres, if it's a privately owned streets. I don't know that we necessarily have many of those here in town, but if it's a privately owned subdivision where they maintain their own streets, they could absolutely put greater bans on them.
So I know you're looking for direction. Chief, did you guys have any input on this at this time? No?
Nothing more than what I said about the helmets. I mean, I can go over, if you're ready, I can go over a little bit of what we did last, the end of summer and fall, if you'd like. I know that, you know, we had an increase in the number of calls and complaints, mostly up in the Creekmore area. We did some increased enforcement during that time. I have some of the things Mr. Fearborn said, so I'm going to jump down through my notes here. But most of the complaints were with regard to golf carts and the scooters similar to the green one, maybe a little bit beefier than that green one that you see there. But all of them were, you know, with the golf carts, it was juveniles, not of driver's age. You know, you could tell that they were not 16. There was a ton of kids on there, or it was registration issues, or there were some that had children that were at the age that needed to be in a car seat, and those are not permitted. If a child's of the age to where they need to be in a booster seat or a safety seat, they can't even be on the golf cart. So we specifically went to look at some of those things. I did have to do something. I contacted the juvenile office and had several conversations with the juvenile office and the associate circuit judge. They typically don't take referrals for anything that would be a driving offense because of the Missouri Traffic Code. After a few conversations and me convincing them that it was behavior injurious for these kids to be out on these scooters, crossing the roads and doing these things, they decided that they would assist us in taking these referrals. And so that's what we did. We also come up with a plan to, excuse me, a plan to not only, we want to get voluntary compliance. We don't want people to be upset with us, you know, we're going out and writing everybody right away. So we make contact with the kids, then we immediately go over to the parents' residence. We talk with the parents, and then we tell them if this happens again, we will refer the child, and if you continuously allow your juvenile to drive the golf carts or the scooters in a poor fashion, then we're going to issue a summons for endangering the welfare of a child. So towards the end of the spring, or towards the end of the fall, and most of these were in August and September, by the way, we had 63 contacts that were self-initiated by officers, 39 calls for service by community members. We had 20 of the 39s that were neighborhood vehicle complaints, and then the other were 19 scooter complaints. During that time, we also sent 2 juvenile referrals for scooter use, and 1 referral for driving without a license. Those were all 3 went to the Cass County Juvenile Office. And then we issued 2 citations issued to drivers that were of age and adult for neighborhood vehicle violations. One was a registration, and I don't recall what the other one was. It was something to do with the registration as well. So now we're gearing up. You know, we're kind of thinking about what's going to happen this spring. We mentioned these gifts at Christmas time. So obviously, I mean, I don't know about you, but I sit during the holiday weekend and I've seen several commercials for some of these souped up things. And we're going to go out and we're going to try to do voluntary compliance again. That'll be the first thing. Mr. Fearborn mentioned that we're going to do an awareness campaign for the Raymore Review. We'll throw stuff out on social media, and we're going to continue to do the things that we started last year with the juveniles, with these referrals. But I think that, you know, we're to the point now that we need to decide where they're going to be able to ride these things.
Mr. Barber, did you have something? You had your hand up.
Yeah, I did. I looked it up, and the Missouri helmet law is 26 years and younger has to have a helmet, driver or passenger. And one of the other things that I noticed, especially with the scooters, is you see a lot of double passenger, and so I think if we're going to look at ordinances, you know, one person per whatever it is, and if we could do the helmets, you know, as well. But you see a lot of the scooters with 2 people on them, 2 kids on them, and with no helmet. So
if the council is going to think about the helmets, we might want to think about the skate park. I mean, we don't require kids to use the helmets at the skate park, so we may want to look at that as well.
It's encouraged, it's not
Mandated.
The skate park's not a mode of transportation, though, like the sidewalks and roadways are. So, Mr. Mills, did you have something?
My only question or concern if we allow these to go on the sidewalks and trails, and according to this, it says these things can go up to 30 miles an hour. I would not feel really comfortable. I mean, you imagine driving a car 30 miles an hour on the sidewalk or the trails? I just wouldn't. And I don't know, are we allowed to regulate the speed on sidewalks and trails? And now we got to put up speed limit signs on our sidewalks and trails that say 5 mile an hour. I mean, I know I've been places in parks and stuff where they've had signs up that said, 5 mile an hour or things like that. But I mean, that's the other thing we have to think about. If we say they can be on sidewalks and trails, I don't know, we want people driving 30 miles an hour up and down the sidewalk on 58 Highway or Lucy Webb or whatever.
Tom?
Would it be possible to put a training program together, similar to like the youth court or the Citizens Academy, where parents could sign the kids up, parents can come with them, and they have a class and they learn about all these issues that we're talking about here. Right now, there isn't anything that the parent, I think, is available to them to go see. They're not gonna go to the city website and look for something there. But if we were to offer a class, I don't know whether it's a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or whatever, but have that training available to them, let them sign up and then give them the information that they need. You can't ride that on the sidewalk. You can't do this. You gotta have a helmet on, do these kind of things. Right now, they don't know.
Did you? Mr. Circo?
Aren't there limitations like the golf carts, even though you got a legally licensed driver, where they can actually drive, what streets and roads they can actually drive on? 'Cause I've seen them running down Lucy Webb with 4 or 5 people on down Lucy Webb, going down Sunset and Main Road. I see them some of the times, golf carts flying all around the place on the south side, not just up here at Creekmore where the golf course is, but over here.
Well, and
Yeah.
immediately after we're done on the e-vehicles, we're going to talk
Okay.
a little bit about the golf
And I have
carts,
seen the
too.
scooters run up and down
Yeah.
the streets too. I do got our neighbor who rides his electric bike with the pedals, and he goes to work, price
What
shop.
what statute says about a licensed driver driving one of these is they still have to adhere to all of the rules that are out there, correct side of the road, speed limit, all of that's still in place.
So the
Although I
elec-
don't know how you're going to check the speed limit
So the
on a
e-bike would,
scooter because you don't have a
Yeah.
speedometer on the thing.
so an e-bike with pedals, you can do it on the sidewalk of the street or just a street.
That,
Yeah.
so if you have pedals, you can go, that's anywhere.
Sidewalk,
That's considered
streets,
an
wherever.
assisted device.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, Chief, or Tim?
Thanks. Tom, your idea is is a great idea, but I can give you some little background history. One year in the budget, I asked if we could do a driving class. And we advertised that, thought, these kids are learning from parents that didn't ever have I had driver's ed in high school. They don't have that anymore. And there's a lot of these kids driving now that were taught to drive by parents that never took driver's ed. I don't think we had one person sign up for that, did we?
Well, not the first year, we didn't.
Yeah.
And then we did do it another year, and it just kind of fizzled out. We still have that program, and to answer your question, yes, we can. We can utilize our SRO. They're in the elementary schools now, and he can come up with a class, or we just do it outside of it. I know that we've been working with the Roadway Coalition, and they're going to come down and do an instructor for the graduated license for the intermediate driver's license, and that's for parents. So we can also put a block in there about what we're talking about as well.
That would all go with the campaign. And again, that's what we're looking for here is when we get to that Raymore review, what are we telling them? And by the time we tell them that, if you all are going to want the policy in place to allow it on a sidewalk, what are the elements of that? Are we going to require helmets? Do not disagree with a 30 mile an hour. In fact, one of the last complaints I had was somebody was pulling into their driveway and somebody was on a scooter and didn't yield to the driveway. So each of those, but again, I do worry, staff's job is to protect the council. If we come out in the spring and we say, you can't have these anywhere in the city of Raymore, and somebody's got 6 of these parked in their garage, is the compromise to allow, because again, they can't be they can't be in the park trails, and if we allowed them in the park trails, they gotta get to those. And how are they getting to them if they can't, if they're illegal everywhere else? It just seems like if you're gonna have a compromise, it's some form of an ordinance banning or restricting them on the, or allowing them in a restricted manner on the sidewalks. Would the council maybe be interested if we brought a draft sample ordinance and the elements of a policy that would go with that on what it would look like, just for you to chew on something in black and white rather than the kind of the theoretical talk we're having here? And maybe you can poke holes in that one too.
Well, you know, when I was doing a little research on this, I noticed Lee Summit has a fairly comprehensive ordinance regarding that. I maybe take a look at that and see how they have put that together and potentially how they enforce it. So for clarification purposes, these items are allowed on the street if operated by a licensed driver. Is that correct?
That is correct, sir.
Okay. So we're just talking about kids that would not be able to use those. So what they're gonna have to do, if you're talking about the people getting to and from, they have to get on the road if they're over 16 and have a valid operator's license. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, my write-up on it, actually, my last sentence is, alternative statement, should children be allowed to use these on sidewalks? Is the question for tonight.
Yeah, I wouldn't, but, yeah, Mr. Burt.
All right, based on that new information, if a licensed driver is able to get to work on this, then they don't need to be on the sidewalk. They don't need to be in the middle of the road. They need to be off to the side, but, yeah, there's no, we already, and I'm sure Chief can, because he's been here as, you know, an officer as long as I've been here as an educator, so we know some of the same people. And so what, like during COVID, there was a lot of this purchasing going on. People were looking for things to do. A lot of boats were purchased on Silver Lake. It was great, a lot of sailboards, but people bought all kinds of different things. And what we see is small kids graduate to the electric, then they graduate to motorized, then they graduate to you know, regular motorcycle as they get older. And the people, what we need to look at is what we want compliance to look like, and not worry about these same kids that as they grow and they violate on every vehicle that they have and they go on to be problem offenders as adults. We just need to concentrate on what we want our city and what good compliance looks like, and not as much on penalizing people, because we probably already have it.
And we can't be less restrictive than statute, but when we get to that, even a licensed driver, the council may want to question whether or not they want a scooter on 58 highway, just like a golf cart. Because a 30-mile-an-hour scooter on 58 highway is asking for trouble.
Right. Yeah. And we have, that, is it, I know we're gonna talk about golf carts, right? Nick, I saw hold off.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anything else on scooters or e-bikes?
Is the council good with a sample ordinance to kind of chew over?
Yeah.
Perfect.
So you get young drivers on these scooters, what's the enforcement? You gotta pull them over, you gotta see if they're young. Do they have to be scooters put out of commission with them, or call the parents? What do we do how do we actually have our officers actually handle that? If they get a 12-year-old, 11 and 15 running down the street or the sidewalk on a scooter, what do they do with that?
Well, I mean, what they're gonna do is, You mean currently now? Now it's if they're driving erratically or in a careless manner. You know, if these kids aren't, you know, following the traffic laws, you know, then we'll pull them over and then go talk to their parents or have their parents come out. That's what we're doing now. Okay. But, and we're talking about this, like the green scooter.
Yeah.
And they make a lot of scooters that look just like that green one that's not electric. I mean, most of the smart kids now, they have the electric stuff because they don't have to work hard at it, but there's still those ones that look like that green one that are push.
And it's interesting, I can't remember who brought up the piggybacking where you see two of them on it. There is actually, every Sunday it drives me crazy because it's the same two girls and they piggyback on it and they just go around and around and around the circle and you're watching them and they do nothing else. It's unless they're going over to rush hour for a drink. But yeah, it drives me a little bit crazy because they're out there and sometimes they're going the wrong way, but they're in the street, not on the sidewalk. So, and one of the things also, two last things on this, because we have our direction. If you do allow them on the sidewalk, we can naturally assume, even if we could somehow put in, you can't be going a crazy speed, we are going to see an increase in insurance claims because it's a sidewalk, it's not a street. And necessarily there's going to be cracks in those sidewalks, there's going to be uneven areas, and they're going to hit them. Just be aware of that. Second item, if you're going in and you're looking at some of the background on this, you're going to see a lot more ordinances for Kansas cities than Missouri cities. Because Missouri, they're banned outright on the streets. Kansas, they're not. So Kansas cities have to pass ordinances on what that's going to look like on their streets over there. So if you see it, you're going to see a whole lot more suggestions from over there. Anything else on this one before we get to golf carts? So just real quick, when we do get to the informational and enforcement campaign, the three things that we see with golf carts that are the primary offenses. Number one, underage drivers driving these things all over the place. Number two is overloaded carts, 6 or 7 people in it, usually being driven by an underage driver. And in that case, obviously, you also have the violation of there's no seatbelts being used. And we see no seatbelts being used even when there's 1 or 2 drivers. And the last one, which is a surprise to everybody, in fact, I saw a couple of eyebrows go up here even, if the children are of the size and age where they would need to be in a booster seat or a regular car seat when they're in a regular vehicle, they are not allowed to be in the golf cart at all, not even with the safety device. And you see a whole lot of adult drivers who have 2-year-olds and younger sitting on their lap, and they're actually the driver, which makes it even worse. Those are the 3 primary offenses that we see. Last year we had 4 serious injuries in golf carts. The 2 young ladies that I talked to you all about at Creekmore Elementary, and then the 2 that were coming off of the golf trail at Creekmore going onto a private road and flipped it. All 4 of the people in that cart had been drinking. The driver was held a valid driver's license in that case, but it was a DUI type situation that was going on there, and 2 of those 4 had to be transported. But when we're doing that enforcement, if you all are out there and you're talking to people or people are calling to you, when we get to doing increased enforcement in the spring, those are the 3 areas we're really going to be looking at. Chief?
I was just going to mention that those parents the parents of the one up in Creekmore, the juvenile girls, they did receive a summons as well, so.
Can you get a hold of the parents of the kids that live in Foxwood Springs and tell them not to drive their golf carts on a sidewalk?
I tell those kids every time I get on Foxwood TV.
Yeah. Okay, good enough. Yeah, Kevin?
So the golf carts have to be inspected and get the city sticker. How is that? I know that Creekmore is announcing that, I think December some date, you guys the police officers will be there, and I know that you can also schedule that. Are you seeing very many carts running around that don't have the?
We see a few. Most of the ones that we're seeing are some young kids in a certain area. We're working on a date up there as well to help them out. But just in the general city, there are a few here and there that aren't registered. Most are registered.
Yeah.
And again, most of our problems are going to be the underage drivers.
Yep.
No, but the parents do.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tom?
In the spring, is there any way the schools would work with us to have a campaign to meet in the auditorium and send flyers out to schools to let the kids know when the parents come? We're gonna go over the ordinances of the city, golf carts, these kind of electric bikes, and maybe invite them to that and have all the parents come so they can actually hear together what you're doing?
I don't know
SRO?
that we can do a big auditorium. You know, they have to have so many hours in their classroom, and it's a big to-do to maneuver them around. However, we are in classrooms all the time, the SRO is.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's probably gonna be easier to do it classroom by classroom with a small group, as opposed to the whole auditorium. But I say that, I'm sure the school would work with us in whatever fashion we needed.
I'm talking more like an evening event. They send them out for a month. We're gonna have these special meetings with the city and the PD about these golf carts and electric bikes and stuff. And then come in the evening, where the parents would come after work with them and just listen to what we have to say about ordinances, laws, restrictions. They would get a general idea. The parents would that way, but
I think once, I have 2 people going to this instructor class, to talk about the graduated driver's license, and, we can include that in there. Like Mr. Burke said, you know, our driving class, I want to bring that back a little stronger. There are folks out there who have parents now who have never changed a tire. So, you know, that class even went so far down in the weeds as learning how to change a tire. So, there's things that we can do for sure.
AAA.
Yeah, Mr. Bowman.
Not to belabor this, but the ones I've seen they're not so clear cut. They're on the street, and within 15 seconds they're on the sidewalk, and within 15 seconds they're in a private parking lot. McDonald's, Price Chopper, see it all the time, and they'll whiz in, almost knock somebody down, take the scooter inside the business and park it, and then go in and run around and take off again. I mean, it'd be difficult from an enforcement standpoint unless you get the call and just happen to see them. But is there any kind of enforcement possible on underage drivers in private parking lots, or are we just at the mercy of the management on that?
A lot of times on the news, what you're seeing is the private parking lot people are starting to post more and more that you cannot bring a scooter or a golf cart onto their parking lot.
Okay.
And we could certainly work with them and ask them, do you want these up? Here's what we're doing.
Yeah, Chief?
I would just like to share with Mr. Holman, you know, I've been a victim of that very thing. Mr. Fairborn has called me several times over the late summer, and then I personally will go out and they're gone. And he's like, well, they were there.
And that's going to be part of the campaign that we're going to have to do, because yes, we're talking about something that's moving at 30 miles an hour. They're there and then they're gone. I may have told you all the story the first time. I was trying to follow a golf cart, and this was when I called the chief on. I was trying to follow a golf cart going east on Wilshire towards Hawk Ridge Park, and I got slowed down because I was behind two people driving erratically on scooters. So it was just a whole nightmare. It was the perfect storm of electric vehicles stopping me.
Yeah.
That concludes staff report on this item, sir.
Were there any recommendations on the golf carts?
I just wanted to alert on the golf carts that it's going to be a stepped-up enforcement, and it's going to be part of the informational campaign in the spring, sir.
Okay, all right, good enough. Anybody else have anything?
I know in the past, private property kind of swayed against PD to get on private property tickets or whatever. I don't know if that still holds true, that the private property is private property, PD don't have a right to go on the private property and do things.
Well, I think that if they called us there.
Oh, yeah.
And they wanted something done, we could still warn them for trespassing, that the business doesn't want you driving these things or riding these things on their parking lot. We would still go and talk to their parents and advise them what the property owner wanted.
But if there was a violation that occurred in their presence, they could go on to private property, effect an arrest or contact, yeah. All right, anyone else? Okay.
Thanks for the direction.
Do we have anything under other this evening?
Just a really quick update on the weather. It caught everybody, I don't know if you've seen Dr. Schlegel's write-up that just came out. Caught everybody by surprise. We were supposed to be in a 2 to 4 window. It started at 7. We did follow the plan. Priority 1 and 2 routes until it stops snowing. Plowed when we get an inch or more, salted constantly. Didn't really stop till 4:30. They've now finished the 1 and 2 routes, so they'll be beginning here with second shift starting in 20 minutes on the 3 and 4 routes, and we'll plow through the night and get as much done as we can before the morning rush. Big worry right now, my worry even when you all are walking out, is it's refreezing really fast, so please be careful.
Okay. We do have a reason to go into executive session, so I'd entertain a motion to do that.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Holman?
I move that we enter into executive session to discuss litigation matters as authorized by the revised statute, State of Missouri, 610.021 subsection 1.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second? Thank you, Mr. Barber. Motion's been made and seconded to move into executive session. Have the roll call, please.
Present. Yes or no? Oh, we're voting to go, yes, I'm sorry.
Yes.
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 Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you included Circo this time, though. We're really proud of you.
Raise your seat.